Hello and welcome to the August edition of Freedom Friday. I am Sarita Price, your host, and I am happy to be here. I guess I need to make myself a little bit bigger. Hey, I'm happy to be here. Welcome to the noon edition of Freedom Friday live. Normally, I take these takes place on Friday nights, but because of previous engagement, I schedule it for noon, but we're going to see how it goes. It may go well for noon. It just depends on how many, what kind of feedback I get back. But anyway, welcome to Freedom Friday. So our discussion this week is actually, well, this month is actually going to be in a very interesting topic. You know me, you have not actually taken part or reviewed any of my Freedom Friday lives. Basically, it's all things soft skill. I use the tagline, I am skilling you softly. So, this is no different. Every topic that I discuss, we're talking about soft skills and impact and how it actually affects you in your everyday life as well as the workplace. Okay, so this particular topic I chose specifically for this month during this time. As many of you know, especially if you reside in Memphis, Tennessee, school started this week. Shelby County School started this week. And so I wanted to talk to you about a topic, have a discussion about a topic that is really impacting our our youth, our school K through 12 students. And let me tell you the reason why. If you do not know, let me tell you a little bit about myself. Most of you know my background. I'm an educator, as well as I am in the marketplace. But education, probably for the last, oh, I would say close to 10 years, has been the direction that I have moved into. I'm an adjunct professor. Um, as well as I'm a business owner, entrepreneur, and I'm all about educating. And one thing that I have noticed um, as an educator and having one foot in education, another hat in the marketplace, as well as being entrepreneurship as a business owner, which that's part of the marketplace. One thing you may not have known is in 2023, I answered the call to be a substitute teacher for Memphis Shelby County Schools. And because of the crisis that our school system was in, they were short on teachers. And guess what? They're still short on teachers. I'm also a business partner with Memphis Shelby County Schools. Um, I have actually facilitated personal development training in some of the school systems. So being a substitute teacher and being in the classroom, um, my background's corporate America as well as higher ed. There are a lot of things that I see that concerns me. It's one of those discussions, those, I guess you can say, it's part of my movement, is how our education system, the challenges and the many we have many different challenges in our education system. And I talked a little bit about this last month. If you did not see my live last month, I talked about gentle parenting, the pros and cons. And so go back and look at that, because that has a lot to do with what I'm going to talk about in a sense today, as far as, how social media is negatively impacting your child's education. This is something that I've read, I've researched, but most importantly, this is something that I see often when I am subbing at different schools. Um, so also too, this is the first week of school. So I kind of like, this is more dealing gearing toward, I guess you can say, the parents of students. First and foremost, let me just say this. being a parent myself, my children are adults now, but having, being a parent myself, being an educator, working in the workplace, um, I know how to tie all these things together, and I see there is definitely a connection in all of them. And many times when you as educator and going into the schools and even though I'm subbing, I'm still an educator. I see things many times. The teachers leave work for the students to do, and of course, I follow the guidelines. But sometimes when there's that, you know, brief minute where there may be extra 10 or 15 minutes, or to keep the children engaged, we have talks. We talk about what they want to do, their goals and their ambitions, their career, what they're looking at doing in their careers. And you'll be surprised. Many of our children are, you don't see this, you hear the negative things. We have a very bright students that in our school system, very bright children. Um, but one thing I have noticed that is a huge distraction, and let me just put this disclaimer out here. It depends on what school that I'm subbing at, what schools. There are many schools, especially the middle schools, they actually have a guideline or rules where you cannot, let me put my little put up here so we know what I'm talking about. Where you cannot actually bring cell phones in class. That's a no-no. Um, they have to leave them in their lockers. Most of the time, it's the middle schools, as well as the elementary schools. High schools, from what I have experienced, they don't necessarily, some schools do have a rule, but most times, you know, the administrators and teachers choose their battles because, they can't necessarily, they can try to say, hey, put your phones in your backpacks or put your phones in your purses or what have you. But many times that does not work. Okay. So, I just want to this is to the parents, let you know that um, social media, many times I've actually caught students, they're on their phones, they're either on TikTok, YouTube, or WhatsApp. Those are the top three social media platforms if our teens are using, just in case you did not know. I've even had a situation where I had students to actually go live in the classroom, and I'm like, no, that's not acceptable. I'm trying to figure out when have this become acceptable. Um, and a lot of times too, I understand, for those who substitute teacher, you understand that children are going to try to sub either way, but most of the time, I'm in and out, I'm there a lot, so they know my presence, and they pretty much know what Miss Price will and will not accept. We have boundaries and we set rules. So, but just to give you a little data of how this is such a issue. And I'm going to read you some things. I got to put my glasses on. This is a study that was actually conducted. I think it came from the Mayo Clinic of how um, critical social media uh, is negatively impacting our children. Okay, so in between 2026 and 2021, there were a review of like 50 studies that actually found, check this out, that constant exposure to unattainable physical ideas or on social media can lead to, first of all, eating disorders and distorted sense of self, your self-worth, especially for young girls. Oh my God, you see all these pictures of how you should be. Even the Surgeon General's advisory also notes that social media can be used by predators. This is the scary part. Predators to target adolescents. Others research has also shown links between, heavy social media use to increase risk of anxiety and depression, which can impact a student's ability to focus and study and attend school. I have seen it is so. bad that when I am teaching, I have to constantly tell my students to, put their phones up. That's how bad it is. Um, and, you know, they have homework assignments and in school assignments. Most of the time, they don't ever get done because they are so distracted by their phones. If they're not on social media, they're talking to each other. I don't think parents realize how big of an issue the social media is and how it's impacting your children's education. I don't know if you have not, like I said, stayed and go back and look in the live. I talked about gentle parenting. I talked about education as far as how the United States has no longer ranked in the top 10 as far as education. We used to be number 5 in the world, and I think we are now number 12. We're behind Switzerland, some smaller countries that you wouldn't even think as far as our education. And social media, those cell phones have a lot to do with your child's not obtaining the education that they need. So as a parent, you have to be, I know, and here's the thing. Well, I want my child to have my phone in school. You never know what happened. Well, if something happens, believe me, the school is going to notify you. Um, these cell phones are such a distraction. These children, as far as their reading capabilities and overall literacy, has declined because they are not focusing, they are not studying. Another thing, as far as academics performance, this is another study that says that studies have found that students' grades decrease as their social media uses increase, even when controlling for other factors like, controlling factors like age, gender, and race. This could be because social media distracts students, and it is a fact that social media distracts students in their schoolwork, and because they're less motivated to learn when they are so dependent on viral conditions, right? We need to explain to our children, even as adults, what you see on social media, over half of that information is not even true. It's not even fact based. That's why when I go on to these lives, or even, as you guys know, if you don't know, I conduct social media webinars quarterly for SCORE, and I discuss how to make social media work for your business. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying social media is a monster, because social media kept us afloat when the pandemic, and which social media presence became even more because we couldn't really go anywhere, and our own only means of communication, see what was going on, was through social media, of course, and live streaming and TV. But social media is a great tool for your business, but it is a huge distraction. Me, I teach. I'm streaming right now live on social media. Just let you know, social media is good, but I had to even watch myself with social media constantly. You want to pick up the phone, it can become addictive, very addictive. So you have to be careful um, with social media. Even at this stage, I have decided for the last couple of, probably for the last month, I want to say even since May, that I don't post on social media. I'm not on there as much. I even made a post the other day about, kind of backing off, because first and foremost, there's a lot of noise on social media right now that can be distracting. And let me explain something to you as well, just in case you did not know, because I facilitate how to make social media work for your business. I learned the pros and cons and the ins and outs. Social media now has, most platforms have uh, adapted AI generated content. So, what is AI? Of course, AI is artificial intelligence. You can actually go in and put a topic in, and hit, how you want to be formal, if you want to be professional, heartfelt. I know specifically on Facebook, it would actually generate a post for you. So just imagine somebody just generating a post. Many times you have to understand some information that you see on social media is not even factual. It's false information. So just imagine what your children are seeing. I'm going to even take it further to talk about social media, how social media and the AI is it's negatively impacting even the college level. AI technology. Um, you can put one word in or just type a group, put a sentence in. You'll get a whole entire paper. Many professors now, or even in school, I've seen it in school, even high school, students are using AI technology to write their papers. And you can tell, especially you can pretty much tell, if you're an educator, you should be able to tell the difference between a paper a student actually wrote and one that's AI generated. So, that all goes back to, we'll go back to, so we're talking about social media, but social media even has AI um, technology now. So some of the things that your students are, your children are seeing is not even fact based. But really and truly, like I stated, social media is just really hurting our education system. No, just true fact for personal experience. Students are being distracted. They're not doing their homework. They're constantly on social media all the time. They will actually have a meltdown if you try to tell them to put your phone away. I've experienced this. So parents, it's something that, you actually have. I'm just going to put it like this. You don't find too many students, especially high school, they're paying for their own phones. They're not. You're paying that phone bill. So therefore, you actually have um, parental control. You do know you have parental control, right, for those phones. So it's up to you to help the teachers. You can control what they can and cannot see because it's just that bad. Social media is that positively, negatively impacting our students. Going back this article or articles that I read, it's also other studies also show that what they suggest that students who use social media may not eat well or get enough sleep, which can lead to decreased face-to-face contact and laziness. So, perfect example, students come to school the next morning. They've been up all night. Once the time when students come in, especially college students, they will be up at night from studying. No, these students are up all night on their phones, on social media platforms or WhatsApp and messaging, and then they're not getting their proper rest. One thing that I have research have shown, this is something I experienced. I had to catch myself. It suggests that you not look at any kind of screen, TV, cell phone, smartphone, iPad, what have you, tablets, at least an hour or two before you go to bed. Because if you constantly looking at that, it would disrupt your sleep. I'm a witness. It disrupt my sleep. I can tell just as good if I watch something and and I'm tired and you don't understand why you are tired. Well, it's because of the lighting from that screen being on, your phone. Um, the study also showed, when we're talking about social emotional skills, many educators, and I believe this as well. I'm a firm believer. I back this up. Believe that social media negatively impacts students' social emotional skills, such as how they communicate, how they treat others, and perceive themselves. So these skills, communication, treat others, which is relationship building, and perceive themselves, which is their self worth, right? These are all soft skills. And I promise you, this information is from these studies are fact, right? Um, we're in a we're really in a crisis stage, and as like I said, this particular live is more geared towards the parents um, than the students, because at the end of the day, parents, you are the parent. I understand, going back to the gentle parent, I understand you try to let your children have freedom of choice, a little bit more choices than we did. I don't have the issue with that. I understand that. Be more of a not tyrant type parent, but also too, you are the parent still. It is up to you to monitor what your children have on their phones, what they're doing. This is a crisis. Teachers can't teach because, especially in high school, because like I said, some schools are different. And if you did not know, each school is different. They have different rules and different guidelines when it comes to certain things. Not all schools like, hey, put your phone up, and not all schools are like, they, like I said, they choose their battles. But these phones are such a distraction. AI technology, all these different apps. Your children are not learning anything. They're not engaged. Education is not engaged. They don't engage in educational um, content like they used to. And it's showing. We've gone from being the top in the top 5 in the world as far as education, our ranking, to below 10 in the world. That's concerning. And a lot of it has to do with how our children on their smartphones on social media. If I'm not mistaken, I can't exactly, I think there's a lawsuit against out now. I don't know if it's Instagram or TikTok, one of these social media. Um, Parents have filed a lawsuit because our children social emotional learning, their depression, stress, anxiety, all of this is caused by what they're constantly seeing on social media. Now, I guess she's like, Sarita, well, yeah, I do teach social media classes, webinars, but this is for business purposes. And I'm just going to say this as well, even on a level of dealing with business, I don't use social media as the all be all anymore. What I am learning along the way, which our children now, the younger generation, especially, I would say the young business owners who are Gen Zs or millennials, they don't even know how to effectively network in face to face because everything is done on social media, on the internet. I'm learning now, and I had a talk with a friend and a mentor of mine just the other day about the noise. There's so much noise on social media that my posts are getting lost in there because it's not, I guess it's not interesting. My encouragement to you is to go back and do it the old fashioned way of face to face. Pick up the phone and call someone and talk to them, because that is a big factor in networking and relationship building, which is, of course, their soft skills. So, without a shadow of a doubt, I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that what I offer, what I'm talking about on these lives in my business, a lack of soft skills is really showing, and is causing a lot of our issues in the world. How to build effective relationships, um, how to deal with people, conflict management, emotion intelligence, all of these different soft skills. So, I'm not gonna, continue any further, but I'm just gonna wrap it up by saying this: parents, please, please be more involved in what your children are looking at on cell phones. Don't just let them just give them the phone, and you don't want to be bothered. You don't care what they're looking at. I'm telling you, uh, these things, especially we don't talk about this enough in the Memphis area. Did you know many times that the sex trafficking, our young girls, even the young boys, are being caught up because they met a predator on social media and they're meeting them? And then you wonder, there are so many children missing in Memphis. Of course, you never hear about it because I'm just being honest, most of them are African American. Met someone through a social media platform. These are, high school adolescents. So you might want to, like I said, um, stop allowing your child so much freedom. Give them certain choices, but there need to be boundaries and parameters, right? You can't let your child just do anything that they want. Start being a parent. And I'm going to end it with this too. Another thing that's not really talked about. I touched a little bit on it last month in the July Freedom Friday. This is the first week of school. It's chaos. I have relatives that work in the school system, especially in the front office. And parents, y'all need to start being a little bit more professional, a little bit more nicer, because I'm telling you, I've seen it firsthand. Some of y'all off the chain. And then we wonder, we don't have to wonder too much why certain children are acting that way because of your behavior. Stop being so nasty and disrespectful to the people up front in the front office. Another thing with this, I'm talking about the cons of this gentle parenting. Stop saying my child didn't do this. I remember a time when a teacher would call a parent and the parents like, hold up, I'm gonna handle this. They didn't automatically say, well, my child didn't do that. How do you know? You take your child's side every time with disregard to the teacher. So I'm saying this not to be fussing, but I'm just trying to set the tone for this school year. Be more actively involved in your child's education. Not when they do something wrong and the school call you. No, be more involved in their education. Being more involved in what they're doing. We all have life happens. I understand that. But these children didn't ask to come here. And as a parent, it's your responsibility to make sure that, you know, you many times you make sure they have the latest hairstyles, the latest clothes, the brands. That's good. I know you want your child to have things that maybe you did not have growing up or what have you. That's fine. But remember, their main purpose of going to school is to get an education. Because, baby, let me tell you, this world out here ain't nothing nice. You coddle them. You don't think education is important. They get out of high school. Some may go to college, some may not. They may take up a trade. But if you don't prepare them for the real world now, they're going to suffer when they get out there. Because, as you know, this world is nothing nice. Okay? So, I say it again, be aware of what your child is looking at on social media. You can actually put, if you don't know parental control, you have parental control on those phones. You can call the carrier. You can then go through the phone and set it up. You can know where your child, what is looking at. You can even track all this information if you choose to. But I'm telling you, um, they're excited. Many of them are children excited about going back to school and seeing their friends, and they're excited, but you know, some of that kind of start wearing off. And that's just the normal. That's just how children are when you talk about, how the school, everybody's excited about coming back to school. But be aware that they're the purpose and the reason for them being in school. Because there was used to be a saying, knowledge is power. Yeah, knowledge is power, but it has to be executed, right? You have to have that, to be um, educated, to be engaged in your education. Because even if you are a teenager in high school, you're moving into adulthood, and it's going to be your responsibility to obtain everything that you can in education. You're going to need it. I promise you, you're really going to need it. Okay. All right. So let me keep it moving here. All right, so all right, here we go. So just to let you know again about the new initiative I have, no, not initiative, movement, LA 50 is called Life After 50, How to Reinvent Yourself. Um, Email me if you're interested in this. I want to put this out here because we're getting ready to really get up and go and move with this. If you want to know more about it, you can go to my website on in some of my social media platforms. But this is an initiative or movement that started in May with my symposium, Life After 50, How to Reinvent Yourself. And the main purpose of this is to help women with changing a life that's, creating a life for women that are 50 and older that brings them joy and peace of mind in this stage of life. So you can email me for more information about that. As always, keep in touch. Let's keep in touch. This is my email address. All things Sarita. Go to my website. It's fspenterprises.net. And this is even my mailing address. Okay. All right. Until next month, Freedom Friday. I want to thank you for your support as always. And I know, some of you guys may be taking your lunch breaks looking at this. You may go back and look at it later. But if you have any topics, anything in discussion, send me an email or put a comment in there. I try to choose topics um, that are necessary for these days and times. I don't talk a lot about the problem because one of the things I have, my philosophies as a certified Christian life and leadership coach is. I talk about solutions. I don't spend a lot of times on the problems. I think sometimes, it's a lot of noise out there. We talk about problems. Let's start talking about solutions, right? Okay. So that is my main focus. All right. Have an amazing day, remainder of your day. Have an amazing weekend as well. I don't think there's anything I left out. And I will see you next month. Have a wonderful day. Bye bye.